What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Boston Talks. It's your boy, Brian Merchant from B1 Photography and L Boston Collective. And I am here today with the beautiful and talented KB Vega. Now, I gotta pull out the phone for this one. This young lady is very, very accomplished. Let's see if we can read this down. All right, check this out. All right. KB Vega appears as a founder. Oh yes, she is entrepreneur. We got to bring that up. That's going to be in this conversation. KB Vega appears as a founder and driving force behind InspiHER, the InspiHER Empire. Formerly the Power Collaborative. There we go. A platform merging fashion, positivity, and empowerment for women. All right. The Vega Fashion Diaries of KB Vega. The fashion, what is that?
So that was a blog that I started.
That's a blog.
The Fashion Diaries of KB Vega. I originally started with it was fashion, travel, and lifestyle.
Right.
And I started that as kind of just helping people with styling tips and beauty tips and things like that. But,
that's awesome.
But I kind of put that's on a hiatus because I've been doing so many other stuff.
Right, so you're doing so many other stuff. So as we continue to read here, she maintains a blog diary. That's what we just spoke about, right? The Fashion Diaries, where she writes about all that. Yes, we talked about all that. Ladies and gentlemen, the beautiful and talented KB Vega. How are you doing today?
Hi, Fiona. I'm good. How are you?
I am awesome. I'm very happy to be in our new digs here. This is a very nice and comfy situation that we have going on here. Are you comfortable?
I'm very comfortable.
I'm very comfortable.
I might fall asleep actually. No.
That's a tool. You want to take a nap?
Take a nap. No.
I'm all right with that. I'm all right.
This is very comfortable. And it's a beautiful space.
It
yes.
is a beautiful space, and as long as you're comfortable, that's all that matters.
Yes,
So,
thank you.
So KB, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? I did a terrible job with your intro.
Oh, no worries. There's a lot, I know. So I'm KB Vega. I am an entrepreneur. I'm a designer. I'm also a speaker, an author, and recently fulfilling my modeling dreams. So I got a lot on my,
You got a lot on your plate.
a lot on my plate, yes. But I'm from the Boston area, outside of Boston. I'm from Newton. I grew up in the restaurant industry,
Right.
so I have, the entrepreneurship kind of runs in my blood, so to speak. I was the daughter of a serial entrepreneur. My dad at one point had, I don't know how many businesses, but I saw, what it was to work hard and to be successful at what you're doing and to love what you're doing. That's passion is cooking, so we had several restaurants. And, I also saw the ups of it and then the downs. At one point when I was growing up, we were living in a mansion with 15 plus family members and taking trips to visit our family in Italy and wearing the finer clothes. And then the next thing, we're renting a house and, my grandmother is knitting me clothes and I have to, my hand-me-downs for my sisters. So seeing both of those, I kind of grew up with that entrepreneurial spirit, but I did see the pros and cons of it. Nobody tells you entrepreneurship is lonely either. I'm learning that as I go too, but you need to have your team behind you and your tribe, so to speak, behind you, supporting you and all that. So yeah.
It was very interesting. You just mentioned something, and I thought it just put two things together at the same time. You said you went from, living in a mansion with 15 family members to having your grandmother knit you clothes.
Mm-hmm.
So could we extrapolate that maybe your fashion started with your grandmother and her? Can you expand on that?
Yeah, they probably could. Yeah. It definitely. I remember being a little girl, and because we were living in this house with my family members, it was very chaotic, very loud. People kind of having friends over, and there were times where me and my mom and my sisters were kind of into our own area, in my mother's bedroom, so to speak. We'll have dinner there. We didn't want to be a part of just what my other family members were doing, and sometimes it was just too much. We kind of just wanted our own time. And these were times that I would call pretty princess time, right? Me and my sisters. My sisters would dress me up in my mom's furs and hats, and I would walk around and do a runway show for them, and they would kind of score me, and so I think my modeling from there kind of stemmed, but then also the fashion sense of just, I remember being a little girl and going in my mom's closet and just being in awe with her jewelry and her hats and her, you know, coats and kind of wearing them and putting them on and doing this like fashion show for my sisters and my mom, you know. So, but then when everything kind of was said and done and we kind of found like ourselves like kind of in a hard place, my grandmother, my mom's mom, would knit me, you know, certain would knit me sweaters and things like that. But the fashion sense, it was almost kind of like I just needed clothes, so to speak. So like I was traumatized for years because my mother would put me in these like tight baby pink like sweatpants. Right. And then my grandmother had like knitted me like a maroon and cream sweater. And I'm going to school like this and I'm like, this is so not fashionable. Maybe now it would be. But I was traumatized for years because those sweatpants were so tight on me that I was like, I hated sweatpants for the life of me. Yeah, it was bad. Right. So I think it felt like PTSD for me. But I do think like with my grandmother, watching her knit, and she was always making clothes for like, you know, my family members and me and my sisters and stuff. So I fell in love with that. Like I wish I could knit like my grandma. Right. You know what I mean? Right. But yeah, it was. I do think that has a part of it. Yeah,
I think that's very interesting, and it's one of those things. Like listening to you talk just reminded me of being a kid and kind of doing the same thing, right? For me, it was more my grandmother, right? My grandmother had a lot of stuff. She had a big house that had a lot of stuff. We weren't supposed to go in a lot of rooms that we definitely stuck into. Yep. It was like, what's in here, right? Like that was. But I think that's one of the things that we never realized, that I think we very much take for granted, is that we were allowed to use our imaginations. Almost, I would say, even encouraged to use your imagination, right? Like, oh, well, I can spend hundreds of dollars on toys and stuff, but you just want to play with the clothes in the closet anyway. So, you know, and you would. I remember I would go to my dad's closet and, Dad, I want that coat. Boy, that coat's 25 years old. What do you want that old coat for?
I know, it's so
But it was just cool for me, right? It was cool for me. It was cool to be in that moment. It was cool to look at the clothes. It was cool to, like, you know, and to take that time, to look back on that time and just, you know, even if in that moment it was like this traumatized thing, right? This traumatizing thing. As you get a little bit older and look on it, you start to appreciate like the little things that you got, right? And, like, so being able to do those runway shows with your mom, right, in front of your, like, having those moments, being able to share those moments. Not only are they memorable moments that you get to tell again, but you can actually say it's the foundation of what came later.
Yep, that was like our bonding. Right. Because that was like, even though we were in this house with so many members, and you know, like it was always like craziness around, and you know, people coming and going, and that was kind of our little sanctuary. Right. You know, it was like our time. Like me, my mom, and my sister, that was like our time. And even if it was as silly as doing like Pretty Princess time, like with me on the runway, that was kind of like our time together, which was nice. And I also grew up like at my grandmother's house. Both grandmas, you know, raised me. My dad's mother actually passed away when I was 8 years old, but up until, I mean, she was raising me as well as my mom's mom, because both my parents were working in the restaurant. Right. So it was like if it was them or my aunts would raise me. So I was always around, like either my grandmother cooking like homemade pasta, making homemade pasta with her in the kitchen, or my other grandmother watching her knit and, you know, sew and things like that, you know. There was always that, you know, I do think it does have something to do with like how I am today, you know.
And you get to honor those memories of those people.
Absolutely.
By being the creator that you are.
Yeah, that's
awesome. Well, right now we're going to kick it to break.
Okay.
You've been watching Boston Talks with Brian Merchant and KB Vega. We'll be back after these messages. What's going on, guys? It's Brian from B1 Photography and L Boston Collective out here in the Winter Wonderland. But check me out. Ain't no store gonna stop us from creating our content, all right? So check out this video.
Hi everyone, my name is Judith. This is, and the artist motto is called Friends of Fashion. We represented this to have a mobile service where it will come to your home, where we can rebrand your closet, and we can also style. And it could be for work day, it could be for trip day, it could also be where you want to rebrand yourself and find new outfits, find new colors. And we can all go in your closet and kind of go over things
the beautiful and talented Miss KB Vega. Well, we know how you're doing. We already talked about that. We actually were having a great conversation in the break. But yeah, I'd like to, in this segment of our interview, I'd like to talk a little bit more about what we were talking about before, and specifically family and, you know, how our life's experiences, even some of the negative ones that were negative at the time, have such a profound influence on us and can somehow, in a lot of ways, wind up being positive for us in some ways, right? As we get older, I will get into this next part a little bit later, but you were also on a healing journey, right? I've been on a healing journey for a few years myself, so I understand all of that. But like as I start to unpack, I start to realize that even some of the things that I thought were negative, or even some of the things that were hurtful, definitely were impactful, and a lot of them did have positive outcomes that came out of them. So, you know, I just would like to talk a little bit more about, you know, some of the hardships that you went through, and how, looking back on it now, you can take a moment just to be like, yo, that sucked, but damn it, I wouldn't be the person I am today if I didn't go through that, and how, without even trying, I somehow turned this. So yeah, like you were talking about,
Yeah. So, growing up in the restaurant business with my dad, having too many businesses kind of all at once, he wasn't really around. So it ended up being, you know, where he was always busy with work. And then it eventually got to the point where he was putting more of his customers in front of his family, and family values kind of changed a little bit. So it ended up being when my parents divorced. They got divorced. I was 11 years old. I didn't really understand it, and at that time, back in 91, it wasn't really thought of, you know what I mean? Like, people weren't getting divorced, or they were, but you didn't really hear about it. I mean, I remember going to the library in my elementary school and trying to look up like a book on divorce.
You know, there's something interesting. Still to this day, Massachusetts has one of the
Yeah.
Like, people around here just don't get divorced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's like, I think it's an old school mentality.
Yeah.
Like, my grandparents were Roman Catholic, Italian, you stayed, you know, with your partner regardless. You know what I mean? Like, if they stepped out, you like, that was kind of like your ride or die, you stayed with them. But yeah, it was tough. Like, it wasn't thought of, or you didn't hear about it, you know? But I was trying to figure out, like, you know, I didn't really understand. And there was a time where it kind of split my family up. So my sisters went and talked to my dad. I was talking to my dad. He ended up, my mom kicked him out of the house. He ended up living in the basement of the restaurant. I remember going over there and staying with him there. You know, but I always maintained that religion with my dad. And my mom made sure about that too. My sisters were a little older, so they knew a little bit more of the intricacies of what really went down and why mom would be crying in the middle of the night and things like that. Me, I was always shunned away, and I think they did that also to protect me because I was a little girl. They didn't want to have me endure the pain that they were going through and seeing mom like that. But I didn't realize that at the time when I was that age. But, you know, becoming a teenager, I started to hear more and more stories about really what was going on and what really went down. Mm-hmm. And I blame myself.
Yeah.
I blame myself a lot for my parents' divorce. Years later down the road, you know, my mom told me that, like, my dad always wanted a son, you know, to keep the namesake going. Right. And with that being said, you know, here I am. He has two girls. I come out. I'm supposed to be a Karla, not a Karla. And, you know, that kind of like laid the foundation too, you know. So it got to the point where I thought like, wow, if I was the right, you know, gender, if I was a, you know, this, I blame myself for a lot. It put me in a really dark place when I was in high school. I get emotional every time I talk about this. I get super emotional. But I really like blame myself. I really struggled with body issues. I really struggled with you know, confidence and like low self-esteem. I just didn't care. Like I could do anything and anything, and I just didn't care what happened to me. My body, like it didn't matter. And it's weird, but like I even inflicted pain. Like kind of like a mask that's clean, which is so ironic because you're in pain and you're causing pain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of, but there was a sense of satisfaction because I felt so low about myself. So.
You think about it, actually makes perfect sense.
Right. Yep.
Right, it's a way to take back control. So it's stupid as it sounds, but I think
so,
that's what it's more tied to, right? You're not gonna hurt me out.
Yep, and that's exactly what it was. It was and then it just led down a dark path from like high school to college to young adulthood, getting into drugs, being a full-blown addict, struggling with eating disorders, trauma, loss. I got pregnant. I ended up losing my baby. You know, there was just a lot, and I just was in such a dark place. Getting into relationships that were just not good for me. You know, like abusive relationships on all fronts. And it ended up being where finally, like, something happened. I think when I was living in New York at the time, and this was when I was in my full-blown like addiction. I remember coming home. I worked in a nightclub, and in New York City, and I ended up on the way home, and I just partied hard way too much that night, and I ended up on the way home, like I felt like I was gonna die. Like I literally felt like my heart was gonna come out of my chest, and I was like, oh my god, this is not good. I don't know how I was going like in and out of consciousness. I ended up going and right then and there, I knew once I finally made it home, like I needed to make a change. So like since then, I've been kind of on this like healing journey. And I knew that I wanted to do something so for so long, I never spoke about my stuff that I went through. And I kept it so far down in my core, I never spoke about it because I just didn't want to have people, endure what I dealt with or just kind of, oh, here we go again kind of thing. I didn't want to bore them or like, I just didn't talk about it. So I pushed it so far down. And then finally, I started to talk about it.
Right.
And by doing that, it was healing me. And then it was also healing other people. And that's how my brand came about with that. Starting on a positivity platform on Instagram, talking about like giving those snippets of like what I went through. People like strangers just DMing me and saying, hey, like you gave me so much courage to like own my truth regardless how messy it is, like, thank you so much, like you're an inspiration to me. Right then and there I knew that was my purpose and my calling. And then I said, you know what, I want to kind of put my love into fashion and turn it into something. So my brand is all about, we're a feel-good clothing and lifestyle brand that like empowers and inspires women to be the best versions of themselves through self-love, body positivity, and confidence. So
that's awesome. Yeah,
I gave you a mouthful.
No. I trust me, I caught it all. It's a very interesting thing. I've noticed that I've had this conversation with many people, especially about not talking. And I've noticed for myself, especially when I say it to people, they look at me like, oh my God, you're absolutely right. What I find is you don't talk not because you don't want to talk, but 9 times out of 10, you care about the people that you're talking to. Yeah. And as soon as they start to get uncomfortable, you start.
That's what
Right? And it's not even that they're uncomfortable because they're mad or anything.
Right.
It's that now they're worried about you and that makes you worried about them and now you just
it's like a whole
Right? It's like this
so
weird
you just kind of shut down
right.
and you don't say anything and you don't speak about it. Right. But all that's doing is kind of like festering inside you. And it's almost like, years of therapy. I've gone to family therapy, I've gone to individual therapy. Like you have to feel your feelings. You gotta kind of peel back the onion and get down to the core of the problem and go from there. And that's what I'm learning now. Like all these years later, that's what I'm learning now, but it's helping me on my...
Maybe hold that thought.
Yes.
We're gonna kick it to break right now. We'll come back and finish this up on the other end. Boston Talks. I know you're there. I can feel you stare. Why? I just want to sleep. I promise. There's so much content. Just watch the video. Watch the new video.
Now you just tell me all about your backstory. What's your backstory?
So I have my business since 2016, and I was self-arted. Because it was a hub where I allowed the community to come and hands-on understand what we're making. Versus like, that's what they're we go to the store, we pick up everything, and we smell it with my kit, but we don't know the fine details. Okay. As a pharmacy researcher, I learned to understand what I want on my skin, into my body.
Okay, so hold on. You're a pharmacy researcher?
Yeah.
Okay. Pediatric. Okay.
So I decided to be court and put more thought into my business. Okay. Yeah, especially because it helped me through COVID understand what people was just quickly putting together versus the thought and the experiment and putting things together that I have been growing up teaching myself. This is how this thing came to life, 2016. Okay. This year we decided to do pivot. Okay. Because I know my demographic now, and I know people like scent. So now we are a perfume bar. So
okay.
So now we go to conference, weddings, birthdays, and stuff. So this is the last transition of House of Art, to be honest. Okay. So we made it candles, we did a lot of things. But the new business is more collectively intentional. That's it. Perfume, your body butter, wear soap. Things that things I'm not skin at people don't understand why we put things so much more. They know because you're gonna say to me, use an olive water, it makes my body sick. And it doesn't work for everyone. I put it like the acid too much.
Oh, so you're the reason why my lotion don't work right. Okay.
Yes, everybody has a different type of stuff. Alright. See, this is how the Creative Hub started it now. More intentional, more. Think about when you go in a store. First thing they're gonna say to you is smell it. Oh, you can smell everything. 90% of, for instance, body aroma is your nose. Whoa. So you're gonna buy one, bring it home, spray it to your family. Oh, what's that? Oh, you didn't take the time to understand as this organic. Marketing wise, sell it, body, let it buy. Okay. Creative Hub is make it, understand it, enjoy it, and gift it. Okay. It's totally different. Okay. That's I take a lot of pictures. Yes. No photography for that never pursue this project. Yeah. Okay. I do a lot of website. Okay. For my own. Okay. Now I understand, maybe I should do that as a product side. Not something for new travelers that don't understand the meaning of putting your website together versus paying someone. Okay. And it was you that speaks about so that's where I'm at, and that's why I asked, like, I bought these two and I have not put thought into it, but I have the ideas. Alright, good. You go. Reinforce it. Natural. So that's it. Things that are on the front. One down for the Costa Rica. What I chose, my dad is Cuban. Yeah, granddad was a Jamaican. Oh. So we have a gumbo house, so to say. And this is what I've been doing after 15 years in research. Oh, right. On the
And we are back. I'm back with the lovely and charming KB Vega. And I'm telling you, you guys are missing some sparkling conversations in these breaks. But hopefully we're gonna bring some of that to this last segment and leave everybody leave it. Look, I just forgot how to speak English. Literally. Hopefully send everybody home happy.
Yeah, there you go.
Sheesh. Oh man. So in this interview, I don't even want to call it an interview, in this chat session, because we just been hanging out.
Yeah,
chatting,
exactly.
Right? This nice vibe. We've talked about a lot of stuff. We've talked about your brand. We've got a lot of talking about family upbringing, about how, you know, some of these moments in our childhood that were just moments helped to shape us. and are foundations for a lot of the inspiration and what we have going on today. And then we talked about our healing journeys, right? You're on a healing journey, I'm also on a healing journey myself. And how talking really helps with that. And I want to take this time just to say to anybody out there, if you're going through anything, please find the time to talk to somebody. I promise you it does help. It's not about getting psychoanalyzed. It's not about somebody telling you you're crazy, what's wrong with you. 95% of the time, it's just about being able to be open and honest about exactly what you're feeling and not feel like you're going to be judged for it. And then when you get that opportunity and you let those things out, all of a sudden it becomes a floodgate. And that's it's like, word vomit.
Yep. Yeah. But it helps. It definitely helps.
It definitely does help. With all that being said, what's next for KB? What's KB got going on? Like what? I know KB got everything going on. I know that.
I just like to throw a lot on my plate, I guess. I don't know. What's next? So I'm working on some a new collection to bring to Bobo Split. So my stuff is in Bobo Split.
Shout out Bobo Split.
Yes, I love my Bobo Split fam. And I'm hoping to continue that relationship, and I'm hoping even like for the new year, maybe getting my stuff into more retail spaces. So I'm kind of on my designer, doing like my designer thing. I'm also walking again in New York Fashion Week in February.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm in the process of writing my memoir, but that's a lot. It's taking a lot more time than I thought because going back into reliving my past, I find myself like just crying at the computer, and I need like breaks. No, it's so true. No, but it is.
But I know what you mean. It's like,
yeah, and then like
I'm just picturing you like tears dripping on the keyboard.
Literally,
A-F-Y.
No, it literally has. It's been kind of a tough. So I'm hoping to get into getting most of my book done and ready for publishing. But yeah, I'm just excited for the connections, for collaborating. I'm hoping to collaborate with more Boston, designers and artists. I'm fairly new, like I said, to the Boston fashion scene, so it's exciting. And kind of the way it all went down too, like September was kind of when my stuff went into Bobo Split, when I walked for New York Fashion Week. So I was kind of like going on the designer journey and the modeling journey all together. And now I'm like, what do I do? It's kind of like, where do I go first? So I'm hoping to create, obviously just keep creating. That's kind of like my outlet. Just creating more, collaborating more, connecting more, being more present. And making sure that I take the time that I need, if I need like some, healing time and things like that. So I'm looking forward to the new year. I know there's going to be some exciting stuff. So yeah,
that's awesome.
I'm excited. Yeah.
What when you say looking forward to the new year, you have exciting stuff? What do you mean by that? What exciting stuff do you have coming up? What should we be looking for?
Yeah. So I'm hoping that I can continue on like my modeling, and just being more. Having my stuff being more like fashion, even as a designer, having my stuff being more fashion shows. And I think I'm in the right place right now, in the right space, that can happen. I am, again, why not just add another brand to my list? But I love to paint on jackets, so I started to do these on blazers, like painting on jackets and blazers, things like that. So that I'm hoping that will be another brand I launch. I call it right now House of Vega, which is because it's giving homage to my my maiden name. But I'm hoping that but again, there's a lot going on. My biggest thing as being an entrepreneur is time management, to try to figure, because I'm doing everything all at once and all of these like little ventures I have going on, so these little businesses. So I'm hoping that they flourish and I can continue on.
I think I'm glad that you brought that up. I think that's something that I would love to touch on right now, because I think it's something that people don't talk about enough, and that is how to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
What does that mean, and what does that entail? Like, I don't think a lot of people know.
No. So when I first started, I honestly had an idea. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to help people. I wanted to inspire people. I wanted women to feel cute, comfy, and confident in what they were wearing. I knew that was kind of like my mission. I knew nothing about website building. I knew nothing about SEO. I knew nothing about this, and like I was kind of learning as I went. And I think that's what kind of took my I think my path of my entrepreneur, like it took a little bit longer because I was learning like all this stuff. It's like a learning curve, right? And then also it can get, like entrepreneurship can get lonely too. Like you need to have the right people around you to kind of build you up, empower you, and inspire you. That is so important. You know, and I think that really, right now, I think with like my family, my friends, and then just the connections I've made, I think I'm in that space and that I am around people that they want to see you grow and you are helping them grow and vice versa. And that's what it's about. It's supporting one another, inspiring one another, and empowering one another. So.
Which is the whole concept behind L Boston Collective. And you're absolutely right about the team thing. I think this is something that a lot of people take for granted or don't focus on enough. And that is, you can't do it by yourself.
You can't do all the things. No, you can't.
I guarantee you will fail if you try to do it by yourself. You cannot do it all by yourself. And building the right team is essential to your success, right? Not even just people who are positive and uplifting, but people who do make you better one way or the other.
Either mentors, coaches, or just people that have been there.
Right.
They're doing the same thing.
When I say that, sometimes you need to be challenged. Sometimes you need to hear something that you don't want to hear, but you need to hear.
You need to hear, yeah.
You know what I mean? And having those people in your corners that you trust that are not there to just bash you or break you down, but being honestly like, I don't think you should do that, and this is why.
And that's so hard for me too, because for me to ask for help, I'm like, oh, I'll just do it myself. But what does that lead to? It leads to burnout. It leads to you like you're getting kind of like sidetracked or lost with your mission and what you're trying to do and your purpose. And you're like always exhausted. You're like, so I'm learning that now. It's okay to ask for help. I just recently went on a panel with like a couple of the a Boston fashion, Dina Kell, Kayla Williams from Vega Split, Alan Lowe, and then also Ange Carnaccio from Season Style.
Humble brag.
Yeah. No, but they did a panel and it was awesome to be in that same room with them because honestly, like hearing them, like they literally said, Dina I think mentioned that you can't do all the things yourself. You gotta have the people around you that will help you. And it's so true and I'm learning this, like, and maybe it took me a few because I'm like, well, I don't want to bore people with this or, oh, he's, for instance, like my husband, he's off one day out of the week of work. Like, I don't want to bother him with taking pictures and photos, but you have to, you know what I mean? Like, you have to, so I'm kind of like learning that. And that's tough for me, to be, I think. But in entrepreneurship, you do need that team behind you. Yeah. You definitely do.
1,010%. That's one of the first things. Well, I won't say that's one of the first things I learned. That's one of the things that took me to the next level was finally putting together a team and stop trying to do it all by myself, right? Like I'll do all the lights and I'll take the pictures and no,
right.
Let somebody else do the lights,
right?
Like,
you gotta delegate, you gotta delegate,
right? And it's funny, like when I get into delegation over there, it's definitely this is how you know you have a good team. When they run up to you and they're like, so do you want like, I trust you.
Yeah,
you're not here
you're right.
because I don't think you're good at what you do.
You're good. You got my word. Yeah, do your thing.
So, that is so important. Having a good team, having people that you can trust, and having people that you guys in that moment can just like vibe, bounce, just like, all right, I see what you're going with that. I don't know about that. I like this. That. What do you think? All right. Oh no, I like that idea, but I feel like the people right. Like, when you have a team where you guys can, in the heat of the moment, still get it done. That's a really great thing to have. And I feel like that's true for any
it is.
kind of business that you have.
And that's why I'm so like thankful and grateful for my vocal split family, because honestly, like for them to, you know, give me the opportunity to have my stuff in the store. Like I've done fashion shows with other designers.
Right.
Like I'm hoping that I can collaborate with other designers as far as like doing a collection together, but just like they are like, I'm beyond grateful for them, because they've opened up like this whole new like door for me that, and it is okay to ask for help, and they're willing to help, you know. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. I love you. Anyway.
Well, KB, it's been so awesome to talk to you.
Thank you so much,
out.
Brianna. Thank
So
you.
before we go,
Yes.
I want to make sure that we give you a minute to let everybody know where they can find you,
Okay.
contact you, send you positive thoughts or whatever, and where they can find some of your work.
Okay, perfect. So I on Instagram, I'm InspiHER Empire. It's InspiHER Empire. And then obviously KB Vega at InspiHERempire.com. You can email me. You can find my stuff, my clothing at Vega Split in the Copley Place. And also on VegaSplit.com. I do have both of my brands there, InspiHER Empire and Chaos Apparel. So you have the women's empowerment and then the men's like streetwear collection. And yeah, and I have a modeling, you know, Instagram too, but that's vega.in.vogue. Yeah, so I have my modeling and my designing. So.
Book coming soon.
Yeah. How's your book? Yeah. And yes, then book is coming soon. Yes, that will be available. Yeah.
KB, thank you so much for coming and joining us today
Thank
at
you
Boston
so much.
Talks. It was such a great time talking to you. This was
Yeah,
awesome.
this was awesome.
We're
Yeah.
gonna have to do this again.
Absolutely, I would love to.
And
Thank
before
you.
we go, I just want to make sure that we say and stress again, if anybody out there is going through anything, please take time to find somebody and talk. It is very important. As two people who are on their healing journey and have found a lot of peace and communicating. Make sure we do that. This is Brianna Merchant. Watch the Photography. I'm Boston.